You're in the Business Insurance Zone with me, Steve Savant, national insurance columnist and financial color commentator. This week on The Biz, the Medicare Supplement Insurance Series. And on today's show, Part 3, Medicare Supplement Insurance Market with MedSup expert Sam Corey III.
When it comes to life insurance, annuities, long-term care, disability, or group pension plans, we're the news you can use.
Well, welcome everyone to the Business Insurance Zone. I'm your host, Steve Savant, and we're broadcasting live to a nationwide audience of financial advisors right here in Fountain Hills, Arizona, home of America's largest fountain. And by the way, before I introduce my guest, I have to tell you, I've been looking at some of our traffic off our Google Analytics, and we are huge in Germany. I mean, number one. I mean, you look at this, like I got some UK, got a little Australia, I get that, English in Canada. But for people that are outside our country, it's not a big number, but it's a number to look at. And I just want to say welcome to you and Deutschland über alles. Now, when we're talking about it, I want to introduce again day 3. And day 3 was Sam Corey III, and it's perfect because we're talking today about MedSup carriers. Now, the market actually sounds big. It isn't, though. There's about 70 carriers out there that are out there selling it.
In any given geography.
Right? Sure. But there's really only about 15 that are really out there, and then when you really get down to it, there's really about 4 to 5, and that's really the players. And let's talk about some of the players, and let's save U of O till last.
Okay. You know, the big 5, the big 3, Blue Cross and Blue Shield, if you combine them as one entity.
For every state.
For every state.
Yeah.
The high marks in North Carolina and South Carolina and in Pennsylvania, they are the #1 seller of MedSup nationally. The Blue Cross is all combined. Follow that up, right behind them, AARP, United Healthcare.
Now, AARP, do people, I mean, I'm thinking, these people have been receiving money now, mail since age 50, right?
Oh, absolutely.
So they already know this is coming, and it's been kind of a slow drip campaign for the first 15 years between 50 and 65. Do you see a lot of, is that an inside track that they have?
Oh, absolutely.
So it's pure.
So they write a lot of business directly.
Direct, right, from the client direct. So they don't even have reps.
They do.
They do?
They have their own reps, and they also, that product is available to the independent agency force too.
So
there's some requirements to get it, but it's there.
But the players are really, and the big ones that you got Blue Cross, Blue Shield, you have AARP.
And obviously Mutual of Omaha.
Mutual of Omaha. What about that other one? There's a sub one that it's a kind of a lower number. Is it Medico or?
Medico is another player, and also companies like Continental General. Owned by Aetna.
When I'm thinking about a player, I mean, I'm thinking about everybody's heard Blue Cross Blue Shield. Everybody's heard of ARP. Everybody's heard of United. I mean, the Wild Kingdom. I mean, back in my day, Marlin Perkins, right? I don't know either. I still see reruns on the Animal Planet, which I really enjoy. So when we're talking about comparing these, are there really big, #1, definition descriptions that are really differentiation? Because when you get into medical or anything morbidity, at least in my interpretation, Sam, coming from mortality, so forgive me if I misspeak, but definitions seem to be the issue. I know there's going to be maybe premium differences. There's going to be pricing differences, but what about definition differences between carrier to carrier?
Not so much. It's not. They're writing for the basic stuff. So, there are some carriers who will take diabetics with high blood pressure. Other carriers don't like that. Depending on the state, there's some other. There's a market by market differences between the carriers.
So from a geographic standpoint, do you think that the definitions of what they cover, though, do those really change?
Not at all.
State to state. So that's pretty straight across the board. So there's not a lot of, well, I'm going to look at this policy because it has a lot more definition on what it does. They're pretty much going to be the same.
They're absolutely
all right.
the same.
So it becomes an issue of what then? Price and ratings.
Price, rating, and service.
Service. Talk about service.
Does your policy get issued? Do they mess up your bank draft? Do they pay your claims? I mean, it's simple stuff. Do they offer any additional benefits with the
reimbursement or indemnification? Are they reimbursing?
I mean,
well, like if I have a claim, I just send it into my carrier and that's it. They
don't touch it. It comes straight from the physician. You never see it.
You never see it.
You see an EOB and that's it.
Once your physician is playing with inside this area of Medicare and MedSup and all this, it's all handled. Well, that's a first part about me turning 65 that I've encouraged about.
We in our office have never received a claim issue on our Mutual of Omaha business in 15 years. Not one call from an agent ever saying, Mrs. Jones is whatever, didn't get paid. It's never happened.
Wow, they're a player then, right?
Absolutely.
So service is a huge issue when you're dealing with the geriatric community because you want to be able to deliver, especially as an agent.
Sure.
You want that company to be able to play that claim paying ability right up to the perfect service. I mean, that's what I'm looking for. When you talk about what's up, well then if it's services, everybody's trying to play, are they pretty good service from company to company?
It varies.
It varies. It
Yeah,
does.
most everyone does a pretty good job. Some people do a great job.
Mm-hmm. And you like, I mean, I've noticed that you like United. That's a big one, right? Yeah. They're a major player.
Absolutely.
You know what? When I'm thinking about United of Home, I mean, they're big. I mean, they're big in life insurance. They do a lot of different insurance companies, or different insurance products. I've noticed that now. Would you consider them a major player in MedSup?
Oh, absolutely. I think they were the first carrier back in 1965 to have a Medicare supplement product.
Oh, a first one on the street. Wow. So when I'm looking at a company, whether it's going to be my own state Blue Cross version of that, or ARP, AARP, or United, those are your big three out of the 5 that we've mentioned.
Sure. And you have to look at economies of scale. Mm-hmm. You know, who's got the systems down? Who's got the systems in place to process claims? Because basically it's just a transference. You know, whoever can move the paper more efficiently wins in the end as far as being able to keep their premium increases on the low side. And
do you see any future, you know, as we look into the future, do you see any more technology that's going to be employed? Because we're getting so many, what did you say, 10,000 baby boomers turning 65. They're going to need to have some serious admin online.
On the agent side, there's obviously tools that are available electronically. On the consumer side, right now it's pretty much limited to being able to get their EOBs delivered via emails and have access to their accounts through like a portal. But there's not a tremendous. It's actually pretty simple stuff. Once you're in the system, your physician has your card. They know where to send the bill. It's stuff they're pretty common with. It runs pretty smoothly.
Well, when we come back, we're going to continue our discussion on med supplements. And remember, you can always go out and enroll in IULUniversity.com for the best training, education, and sales support.
You're listening to the insurance industry's #1 resource for products, planning ideas, carrier information, and interviews you can use. When it comes to life insurance, annuities, long-term care, disability, or group pension plans, we're the news you can use.
Did you know the average 401k runs out of money just 7 to 8 years into retirement? Time Magazine, the Wall Street Journal, and many other publications have warned of the difficulty of saving with a 401k. But what if there was a way to create tax-free lifetime retirement income with no stock market risk? Good news, there is.
You know, living in fear of the next market dive is not the way I want to live my life.
Why would I go out there and take on risk when I don't need to?
I have a lot less stress knowing I can't lose any more of my retirement savings in the stock market.
Call now to receive your free, no-obligation analysis of what this retirement vehicle could do for you, a comparison to your current retirement plan, and a free video that explains this exciting opportunity. Start planning a retirement you can enjoy instead of worrying about future tax increases and stock market losses. Creating income that will last your entire life is the most important thing you'll ever do. Take control of your future. Call now for your free analysis, comparison, and video.
Well, welcome back to the Business Insurance Zone. I'm Steve Savant with Sam Corey. And remember, you can order today's giveaways at thebiz@brokersalliance.com. And what are we giving away? Our Medigap, or Medicare Summary, which itemizes the MedSup issues important to seniors and important to your practice. And talking about your practice, we're also giving away our producer PowerPoint explanation. And just a heads up before moving forward with anything that we talk on this show, especially we talk about taxes, haven't so far, always talk with your tax advisor, and always chat with your broker-dealer compliance officer if you're FINRA licensed. We're continuing our total series of Medicare supplements, and now we're going to talk a little bit about something that I think I know, but maybe not. We'll find out. We're talking about underwriting. Now, there is a lot out here. Before we get into actual underwriting and diseases, I mean, there's some confusion on this. I mean, I talked to some of my neighbors. As I said before earlier, a couple days ago, I live in kind of a cherry neighborhood, and they're like, "Oh yeah, when you turn 65, everything's guaranteed for the rest of your life." And I'm like, "Wait a minute, that's not so much." So talk about before 65, talk about 65, and after 65. Let's get that out of the way because there's a lot of confusion here.
All right, so it is possible for you to get Medicare A and B under the age of 65. Social Security disability, you wait 2 years, you get Medicare. At that point, you can apply for Medicare supplement. Depending on your state, they may or may not have a plan available to you. Depending on your state, depends on what plan may be available. For example, we're based in North Carolina, so we understand in North Carolina, that's the freshest stuff in our mind. If you're under age of 65 on disability, you can get a Plan F at about $260 a month, which is a really pretty good deal. States to the south of us, that option doesn't exist. So that under 65 is a state-by-state option whether they mandate a carrier have that. When you turn at 65, we'll talk about an average person who retires at age 65. When you start getting Social Security, you get your Part B automatically, or your Part A automatically, and you have to apply for Part B. Around your 65th birthday, you have a 7-month window where you can get a Medigap policy, guaranteed issue with no health questions, and that's 3 months before your birthday, the month of your birthday, and 3 months after. Once that period expires, so this average person gets his MedSup guaranteed issue during that period. 4 years later, he says that he wants to try a new company, the premiums, the rating, he didn't like the last rate increase, or his agent was whatever. He wants to do something different. He's going to have to medically go through underwriting.
Complete underwriting?
Yes.
I mean, blood, urine, APS?
No, just questions. But they may go for records, or they'll script check. Some carriers do script check. And they're looking for, obviously the dread diseases. But,
Well, if that's true, Sam, how important is it to pick the right one at the front end?
It's extremely important. Because, you could be playing golf 5 times a week at 65 and healthy as an ox, and wake up next morning and say, well, what's this thing on my neck? And all of a sudden, you're uninsurable. So the choice that you made 3 months ago has lifetime ramifications.
So it's really critical for our seniors to really think, when we get it within that zone, that let me make sure I got that right. 3 months before my birthday, that month of my birthday, and 3 months after, I have a pick and it's guaranteed issue.
That's correct.
If I have to do anything post 65, then I have to be medically underwritten and to pass. And if there's knockout questions here, I could be in trouble.
If you had taken a Medicare supplement at 65. Now, if you continue to working for a couple of years, you have some guaranteed issue options. If if your plan goes away, some other things that get you into the give you a guaranteed issue option. Now, the one thing that's important, we talked about Plan G before.
Well, but let me ask you something. If I'm working still past 65, do I still want to get a MedSup plan at 65? I'm working to 60, 60.
It depends how you're covered.
Right.
If you own your own business and your traditional group health plan is costing you $1,200
but aren't
a
you
month.
giving up the guarantee though? If you don't get it, let's say
no, the guarantee. You have one chance to get Medicare guaranteed issue.
So not just necessarily 65.
But 65 is your best opportunity.
Right,
That's the one that most people take advantage of.
Okay, gotcha. Well, let's talk about underwriting. Let's say we now want to go, and you said how much replacement is after 65? How many people change?
There's a fair amount.
Okay, so they have to be somewhat healthy. What are some of the knockouts, the diseases you see on a consistent basis that people are trying to change policies, but they got issues? What are those knockouts?
All the carriers realize they're underwriting an aged population who are not going to be super preferred. But there's carriers who don't like diabetics with high blood pressure. Obviously, heart problems, big cancer problems, end-stage renal. There's the typical things that you would think that I've got this, I'm uninsurable. The same for life insurance or for health insurance are the ones that are going to knock you out. Height and weight can knock you out. Some medications can knock you out. Some carriers don't like blood thinners. I mean, it just sort of depends on the case. So that's when having access to a few different carriers, you can sort of pick and choose.
Well, I'm going to ask you a question, and again, this is just a generic question with a generic answer. If you had to look at the 4 or 5 that we've chatted about, is there anyone that you could say out of those 5 across the board on all the things you've addressed? Anyone a little bit more benevolent across the board on some of these issues, or no, they're all like this? They're all tight.
No, it's an interesting question. AARP has the way that their policies are set up, where they have ways for someone who's a little bit beat up to get a policy. They have a tiered rating system, and it's not going to be cheap, but they can get it. United of Omaha, the Mutual of Omaha product, they 90% of the business they get that they have to underwrite goes through. So they're used to dealing with people that have issues, but and I think the Blue Crosses sometimes have, depending on which one, have some concessions. So everyone's trying to be fair, but no one really wants someone who's going to rack up substantial medical bills.
And you said, and when I'm looking at the scripts too, so I'm going to look at the scripts as well. What are you taking? And there's certain things as you get older, these things really matter. So this is why I go pump back to this thing about, hey, age 65, maybe I better get the best. I better really sort this out. way before 65 and make sure I understand what I'm doing.
Absolutely.
Well, listen, tomorrow we're going to go through as if I am the Jerry asking the questions. You can watch this show and all our shows on our red on-demand video button right on our homepage at brokersalliance.com. Well, that's the Buzz on the Biz for today. Get in the zone, the business insurance zone.
You're listening to the insurance industry's #1 resource for products, planning ideas, carrier information, and interviews you can use. When it comes to life insurance, annuities, long-term care, disability, or group pension plans, we're the news you can use.